beautiful, successful, provocative and one of India's best-known celebrities. He's rich and keeps her in the style to which she's now grown accustomed. That's how the press likes to describe them. But is it accurate, or does it hide more than it reveals? Well, today's your chance to find out as I introduce you to Shobhaa and Dilip Dave. Welcome to the program. Let's start with your marriage. Is it really true, Shobhaa, that you met him for the first time when you gate crashed Dilip's party?
I just love that story. I love the word gate crash, though I've used it myself. Yes, it was the first time we met, and I did go uninvited, but I was accompanying friends who were invited and insisted on dragging me along. And I think it's one of the best accidents of my life.
And is it also true that actually you didn't want to go and that they had to bully you into it?
Yes, in a way, because I haven't ever done that before or since. I have never gone uninvited to someone's home, and it was a struggle getting me there, but I'm glad they did.
In fact, I gather you had quite a strong rule about gate crashers. Normally, you turned them out unceremoniously.
True, but this was not a gate crasher as far as I was concerned. I thought.
You mean you'd been tipped off that she was coming?
No, I think, you know, when I looked up and I saw these friends of mine, Albuquerques, and they said they brought a friend with them. And I said, who? They said, Shobha's here. I didn't know her. I said, well, call her in. She was hesitating, waiting outside.
Hiding in the car, wondering what was going to happen.
I think
At
she
the
was
entrance,
very
was very
embarrassed and
shy.
shy, I think. So I brought her in. And, well, I think something within me told me, well, this is the woman will be in your life.
Was it the shyness? Was it the beauty? Or was it something completely difficult to identify?
Very difficult to express. I saw her and I offered her a drink. She said no to me. She said she doesn't drink. So I said, how about a glass of champagne? And she said, I never said no to champagne.
Ah, a lady of taste.
Yes, yes. I said, well, this is the woman after my heart.
Well, you know, he was bowled over. He decided this was the woman after his heart. But I gather that you weren't smitten at first sight by any means.
I am not a romantic Bengali. I'm a prosaic Maharashtrian. It takes me time.
So you were sitting
It takes me
calculating
time.
whether this was worth it or not?
Not at all. I was thinking the guy is perhaps a little high. It's his party. He seems to be having a really good time, and he's being charming. I thought he was just being flirtatious.
In your autobiography, you write that you didn't even like the color of his shirt.
I absolutely did not like his T-shirt, and I've told him since he was wearing something similar a couple of days ago, and I said, oh God, please, that T-shirt again.
Now, Dilip, it didn't take you very long to give her a glass of champagne, sit down beside her, and then you suddenly began proposing to her. I mean, did you intend to do that, or did it just happen?
Well, as I said, you know, when I gave her a glass of champagne and she turned around and walked away to the sofa set, and I said to myself, I think this is the woman going to be in my life.
You mean the retreating sight of her
The
attracted you?
retreating side. I thought it was wow. I said, this is the woman. And I gave her a few minutes. Then when I went across, sat down, and I asked her name.
And when did you get to the next bit about, will you marry me?
Well, that was 3 days later, really. But I said, what I did was, I said, can I come and meet your parents the next day? Because there's a lot of affinity between the Maharashtrians and Bengalis.
Ah, strike through mummy and daddy.
Yes.
That took him 3 minutes.
That's the
3 minutes
3
flat.
minutes flat.
One look at you and he decided, this is mummy and daddy's girl, I better get their permission.
Yes.
I think so, pretty much. I didn't, of course, buy it instantly, and I thought he'd forget all about his offer to come and meet my mother the next day in the cold light of the morning. But as it turned out, he was completely serious, and he did call at noon.
In a better shirt than the night before?
Yeah, far better shirt. And a cravat too.
But your sister then was rather dubious in her description of him, wasn't she? What did she say?
She said, there's a gentleman outside waiting to take Shobhaa out to dinner tonight, and he thinks he's Uttam Kumar, and I don't know, I think he looks like he's wearing a wig and maybe dentures too, for good measure. I think it was one of those phases sisters have when you're not getting along too splendidly. She lives in New York. She visits every year, and things were a little, you know,
And she could
difficult
sense
between us.
this was Mr. Special, so she was
I'm
throwing in
sure.
a little spanner.
I'm sure.
Now, you gave Shobhaa a bottle of perfume as a present within a couple of days of that first meeting, but she sort of spurned it, didn't she?
Yes, I thought it was very childish, really. She sent it back to me with a bolero record, and she said, well, this is I have selected for you. Went to the shop, music shop, and here it is for you. This personalized gift. And you obviously had almara full of these perfumes that you dish out to women whenever you meet them. I was really, really angry. So I telephoned Cook and Kelvy in Calcutta. I said, now send me an old, heavy, well done Chippendale writing set. And they flew it out for me. And the next day I went and had it delivered to a house.
Was she
one
impressed?
rose.
Was she impressed?
Well, I believe in between, when this the parcel arrived, again, my dear sister-in-law picked it up and he said, wow, this is 5 kilos of silver. Now this fellow, what's he up to now? And so there was, I think instantly the weighing scale came out, they weighed it and what have you. But I knew this, I'm going to wed this girl, and that beautiful set will come back and rest in my...
So you were investing in your own future home.
first investment for my wife. What best one can do.
Now, the amazing thing, Shobhaa, is that when all this happened, you were actually on the brink of leaving India and going abroad for a long spell. In fact, you were just 36 hours away from departure.
That's absolutely right.
Marriage was the last thing on your mind.
Completely right. It was an opportunity. I mean, Reuters had given this fellowship for the very first time to an Asian woman, and Stanford was like a dream destination. And
you
I
gave
met
all
a bigger
of that
dream.
up.
Yes, I gave it all up without a second thought.
Literally. Almost overnight you decided, my life isn't going to turn in that direction, it's
Yes.
moving in a different one.
Yes, I think it was the right decision when I look back even now, nearly 20 years later. At Stanford, it would have been a career move. This was a move made from the heart, and a much better one.
But in fact, there were still a couple of risky, jumpy moments. One day, on the day you got married, the
Yes.
ceremony was at 1 o'clock and you got your divorce from your previous marriage at 11:30. I mean,
That's
you
right.
could have almost missed the second marriage, couldn't you?
No, I don't think so, because that was really a procedural thing. It was a divorce through mutual consent.
You weren't biting your nails,
No,
wondering
not
whether
at
the
all.
verdict will come, no?
No, because it was handled by the same lawyer for both parties. There was no fight involved. It was really a divorce without any acrimony, a very civilized parting of ways. So I knew there was not going to be any challenge, or there was no dispute. There was really nothing to do but
And
go
you
and
knew
sign
he
some
was
papers.
waiting there, ready to say yes the second you were ready to say so yourself?
Yes. The divorce came through, I think, at 11:03. The courts opened at 11 and we were married by 1.
Dilip, that was 20 years ago, give or take a couple of months. Has it been a happy marriage, or do you regret that glass of champagne?
Well, I regret that I hadn't met her earlier. And it is an absolutely fantastic journey for me.
But tell me, is a happy marriage something you've had to work at together, or has it
Yes.
just happened?
You have to work together.
In fact, the odds, in a sense, were stacked against you. You were both married before, you both had children, you were both independent-minded, self-willed people. Surely, in all odds, this marriage shouldn't have worked.
Or it should have worked wonderfully, brilliantly, provided the two people were ready for it, were ready to commit to it, and shared a common value base, I think, which we did.
Of course.
It was more that, and that we knew we were in it for the right reasons, and it was for keeps. It was that kind of a commitment that went into it.
And that was a commitment that came from the fact that both of you had been married before and you wanted this to be forever.
For sure. Also a recognition that this was the right one, and we were the right people involved in a decision together.
Now you have 6 children between you, 2 of yours, 2 of hers, and 2 of yours together. Does that make for a large family or a quarreling brood?
Happy family.
You're not surrounded by quarreling youngsters jumping all over the place, including Shobhaa when she can.
Well, the 2 older ones, my 2 older ones and her 2 older ones, actually they went to the same school. My older daughter and her son, they were in the same class.
They didn't play matchmaker silently or quietly, did they?
They've
Well,
been
so-
together since
Yes.
kindergarten. They knew each other much longer than we did. And we let them work out their own equations. We never ever tried to impose our own feelings on the matter, because you can't do that with children. You let them sort it out, and if they If they like each other, great. If they don't, well, they just have to manage, because, you know, our marriage was there.
And you weren't going to
with
let
some-
that come in the way either.
Absolutely not. And I'm glad that it has worked out, and the kids get along, touch wood, so far extremely, extremely well. And they have completely their own individual relationships that have not that much to do with us. It has everything to do with their own rapport, their own shared
Their own lives.
interests, their own lives. They're all adults now.
Dilip, you know what the world says of Shobhaa? They say that she's avant-garde, she's feminist, and she's usually rather sexually provocative. Is that true?
Well, I think,
Or do you wish it were?
well, I'll answer you in two parts. Because she wrote those books for the first time, and because she was a woman, and people put those labels on her. And they couldn't expect or wanted a woman to write these books. And this was a male's domain, and she sort of was an intruder. That's their perception. But my private life, yes, she's warm, affectionate. She plays the role of a mother, wife, and lover. And
Very
a good
different.
friend.
Very different to the Shobhaa the world thinks they know.
Yes, that's that's a part of it's a occupational hazard, I think, and the rest of the world is difficult for them to, through her writing, to know, because she writes something, and I believe she is a very honest writer. There are very few like her in this world, and she expresses honest opinion.
But the author and the person are sometimes two different people.
Author, she has to cater to the market. She has to report honestly, which she does. But when it comes to my life, she's very honestly, she is a wonderful wife.
He clearly dotes on you even 20 years later. What about him? They say of him in the press that he's docile, that he's silent, that he's henpecked, and that he willingly does your bidding. Now, is that false?
I wish. I would love for that to be true. He is a very, very volatile person, which I like. I would have hated to be married to a doormat. I would have found that extremely boring, extremely dull. He keeps me on my toes, which I enjoy.
And he is the master of the house.
There's no question. He cracks the whip. And
And you like that?
I like that. I like the idea of traditional roles within family. I never ever want to wear the pants. I may be wearing jeans today, but that's for your show.
Shobhaa De the Sati Savitri. Whoever would have
Yes.
believed it?
I think it's an extension of the way one has been raised. Both of us actually come from very conservative backgrounds. Mine was very solidly middle class background, and you tend to clone what you've seen growing up as a child. And my upbringing was extremely Maharashtrian, very middle class.
And this is a
And-
traditional marriage just like your parents?
Absolutely. In fact, my children tell me I sound worse than my mother. I'm sounding more and more like my grandmother. It's a throwback too.
It's a traditional,
Yeah.
one way tradition, and the other one is the modernity of mind. And then I think that's important.
Well, it's amazing how wrong the press are about the two of you, because the public image you have is almost the opposite. Let's take a break and come back in part two and talk a bit more about your individual lives, and let's see if you can strip away the veils there as well. We'll be back in a moment's time. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guests are Shobhaa and Dilip De. Let's talk a little about your individual lives. Reading your autobiography, I get the clear impression that accidents have, in a sense, shaped your career. Whether it's joining modeling, whether it's becoming an editor or becoming an author, it seems to have all happened by accident.
I like to think of them as happy accidents, but I also have to say this, that I recognize opportunity. And when I do, I grab it and run.
So you're an ambitious person as well.
No, I recognize that I have been fortunate enough to have something wonderful come my way, and I should give it my best shot. Because obviously someone else has more faith in me and in my ability to take his or her idea forward, and I do it as well as I can.
Is that what happened when you went into your boss's office to resign as a copywriter and you walked out the editor of Stardust?
Absolutely.
You clearly weren't
Absolutely.
expecting that to happen.
Not at all, because I think it was a tough call to start with, to take on the copywriter's job at 350 rupees and give up modeling at a time when I was earning, in those days, I'm talking about the early 70s, 15,000 rupees. And then for him to turn around and say, well, fine, if you don't want to be a copywriter, how about starting a magazine? And he outlined Stardust. And I think it was one of the best decisions I made again, because I could have panicked and said, look, I've never done this before, and run out of that cabin. But I said, why not? And I think it's been the why nots of my life that have really defined some of my hardest decisions.
It's also a question of rising to challenges, isn't it? David Davidar of Penguin rang you out of the blue and sort of challenged you into writing a book, something you'd never thought of.
Never thought of.
And never regretted.
Never regretted. He almost held a gun to my head, because I was expecting one of my children at the point, and was thinking of, you know, like a cow to pasture, taking it easy for about 5 years. And here comes this man and says, do a book. And again, I could have said, are you crazy? I mean, me, book? But I said, why not? Why not?
The funny thing, Dilip, is that accidents have played quite an important role in your life as well. I gather your first job happened by accident. It was a lucky conversation that took you into shipping, and a rather fortunate visit to Amsterdam that took you into floriculture.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of similarity there.
Not to mention the lucky accident that brought Shobhaa into your life.
Yes.
Do you believe in destiny and fate?
Absolutely. You know, my hero is Napoleon, and he talked of destiny. In fact, as you know, the legend says he took a knife and he cut it out here to make the extend the fate line. I entirely believe in destiny. Also, I believe in fate, but I also believe hard work goes in making your fate and destiny. So, I think when you say that happy coincidences that about her meeting her, but had I not gone there, sat down, and in 3 minutes' time I had asked the right questions, I don't think I would have won her.
You grabbed the opportunity just as much as she has in her life.
Yes.
But the differences between you are quite interesting as well. I gather that you're fond of single malts, cigars, sports cars, not to mention cheruti and Lanvin suits. You're clearly a man of expensive taste.
I love good things in life. I had a beautiful wife, and I like beautiful things in life. Nothing wrong about it.
And you've certainly kept her glittering in beautiful diamonds, if I can see correctly. She's got them on every finger.
How do you know they aren't fake? They make great fakes these days.
Are they fake? Presumably the check that you signed will tell you.
Absolutely. No, they are absolutely real.
Wedding ring.
And that's the wedding ring which she's got on.
That's the Eternity Band, and the Eternity Band, which...
And then there's an
I take
absolute
these off.
cluster of diamonds on your right hand. There must be about 40 there at least.
This I'm not going to tell you whether it's fake or not. Let's leave people to guess.
While the taxman's listening, that's probably discreet and wise. But the funny thing is, whilst he likes the good things in life, I gather that you really don't care about how you dress, and appearances and clothes don't really matter very much.
I must have been a gypsy in my last life, because if you were to ask me, I pack in about 10 minutes, I throw whatever I can get together, and I'm off and running with whatever is readily available.
And yet the world always thinks that you're perfectly turned out, beautifully coiffed.
My
and that's just an
children
accident.
laugh their heads off. I mean, each time they see me featuring on some such absurd list as a style icon, they always wonder, are those people out of their heads? Are they mad? When fashion designers turn around and say they think of me as a fashion icon, really my family laughs their heads off, because they know how carelessly I put myself together.
Dilip, you know the real Shobhaa. We're just getting glimpses of her today. But when the world treats her like a major celebrity, as an icon, and you know that she's just your wife, she wears jeans at home and she's a simple, homely person, do you sometimes laugh?
As I say, you know, because people, I don't agree with her that, you know, so she was a gypsy last life. I think she must have been a princess last life, because she's got a great sense of about clothes, jewelry.
And complains about the smallest pea under any mattress.
Yeah, and the coming back to, I think again, as I say, occupational hazard, she has been well ahead of her time. She's done things first in India. I mean, I give you an example, like English. Now everybody talks, our English is English, and she started it and coined it about 25 or 30 years ago. And when she did that, there was an outcry. She can't speak English, or what's it? Now we all speak that language.
How did you stop your children growing up speaking English rather than proper mummy's English?
Well, Mummy has abandoned English too now that it's gone mainstream. It's very boring for me to continue with that, and one outgrows things, and I leave the others, the wannabes, to continue writing and speaking in English, which seems to have turned the nation on suddenly in the last 5 years or so. It's in our TV channels and in hoardings and billboards and even in respectable newspaper headlines.
You know, I've been reading Shobha's autobiography, and it's brutally frank. I mean, few people would write a book as candid as that, but there are moments when she comes across almost as if she's selfish and self-centered. Is that really the true Shobha, or is that just another image and impression that sells?
I think it's a false impression. I don't see her at all that way. And as I said, that's again part of her writing. I think they go back to her star days, those magazine days, and I think there's nothing about it.
So she's playing to an image over there that the world has of her. It's the best way of writing the book.
Well, I think that was to make that magazine sell. And she
this
was
was
only
to make the
21
book
years
sell.
old or 24 years old. I mean, that's in a long time ago.
The other side of it that few people realize is that you're actually quite a prankster. I gather you enjoy playing the fool on the phone.
I love that. I love doing voices, and especially when I'm picking up videos in a video library and the phone rings, I can't resist picking it up and speaking the voice of the owner and saying, which movie do you want to see, and are you sending your guy with the cash, or that kind of thing,
So
and
you're
recommend films and so on.
You're fatal at the wrong end of a wrong number.
Oh, I just love it. It's just, I can be in a bookshop, I can be in a store, and if the phone rings, I have to pick it up and pretend I'm the store owner and, recommend all kinds of crazy things to whoever it is at the other end of the line. It's a childish thing, but I enjoy doing it.
Shobha says that she wants her epitaph to be the Frank Sinatra line, "I did it my way." Would you agree?
I think so. She does her own
Not
way.
"she did it my way"?
Catch question.
Clearly you'd prefer that. Huh? Would it be "I did it my way," "he did it my way," "we did it my way"?
We did it
We
our
did.
way, I think.
Yes.
We did it our way would be more accurate, because I think he's a very strong individualist in his own way and feels far more passionately about issues, about life. He's more temperamental, and certainly in our home and in our personal life, it is his way of thinking that pretty much determines the way the family lives.
Shobha and Dilip, a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.